This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library
enough. You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price that you can get Truefire All Access for. So I showed up to a gig the other day. It was Wednesday. It was a function gig, which is like I think what you Americans call a cover gig. So in the UK, it's kind of like the more lucrative thing that you can do to earn money as like a live guitarist or musician in general. It was a midweek gig, like a Wednesday, and I rocked up actually playing my first electric guitar. I'll probably do a video on that at some other stage, my Ibanez Roadstar, and got chatting to the bass player who had brought along a Squier Debut, but the Precision Bass version, and we got talking, and it turns out that a few of these folks are also, you know, gigging the Squier Debut. He told me Toby Miggs has been on the channel, right? The drummer Miguel Andrews. His brother has been gigging a Squier Debut Strat. So it's kind of interesting, like, to see that these guitars are actually not just for beginners, surprisingly enough. Anyway, let's get into it a little bit. So I took delivery of this last week, maybe even this week. I think last week, and it's fine. Like, actually functions as a guitar, stays in tune, and does maybe put like a little bit of a question mark around, you know, how much do you really need to pay for a guitar to get something that will get you through a gig? And we hear it all the time, don't we? Like some pros that have ended up buying Squiers instead of something much more expensive on the wall. There's been a Guitar World thing going around recently. I'll try and flash it up, whatever it was. I can't remember the name. But, you know, Alan Murphy, Francis Dunnery. There have been folks that, Wilco Johnson, I think, had a Squier. signature, right? Simon Neil has got a Squier signature. Jay Mascis has got a Squier signature. In some regards, just because it's got Squier in the headstock doesn't mean that it's not like a gig-worthy type of instrument. I would say that out of the box, there are two main things that concern me about this guitar. And one is that the frets are incredibly low, like there's not much material on them at all. And I'll try and get you like a close-up of that. I'm not sure why that might be, but my hunch is that maybe they found a way to do fretwork to some extent without having to involve a human too much at all. And one of the things that happens when you start to pleck guitars, I think, is that the frets end up, like, on average a little bit lower. I wonder if there's something like that going on here, just because I've never really seen a guitar come out of a factory with frets this low. You know, let me know in the comments if that's a common thing. I think Gibson, they started to say about some of those frets being quite low. Is that to do with just either cost savings where you just choose small frets, or is it to do with how they're manufactured? I don't know. The other things for me is that some of the hardware and stuff looks a little bit cheap. I did see that Landon Bailey actually took apart his, and like for instance the 3-point or 3-switch thing, it's basically, you know, like on quite a chunk of PCB and stuff like that. It's kind of all pretty, what would you say, like cheaply made, but actually, you know, a Tele is not the most complicated guitar in the world, right? You know, you could pay lots of money for a Nacho, but at the end of the day, when you're really gigging it, I'm not sure. This has got 9s on it from the factory. This is Indian Laurel, the body is Poplar, slightly slimmer, but it looks like a Tele, and actually the matte finishes do look pretty classy, I think, in real life. I saw that it was a Tobacco Sunburst bass that Mark had. Yeah, there's just nothing that's actually kind of like inherently wrong with it. And that was another thing that Mark actually said, that actually, like, the guitar is not the most important thing. Like, if you put it through a decent amp or a decent modeler or whatever you're using, you can actually get some pretty, like, indistinguishable, not entirely indistinguishable, but results that no one else is going to sort of sniff at, particularly if you're playing a gig to no one, as we were at moments on Wednesday. So, yeah, I'm kind of surprised on the one hand, but on the other hand not. The thing that I would watch out for these guitars is because it's so very much not particularly finished, I think that this would be particularly susceptible to warping and moisture, and that's the one thing that I'd be looking out for with these guitars, really, because I think that might be one sort of little surprise that might come down the road with them, is that the necks might be a bit more susceptible to warping because it's going to be less mature wood, and without a finish on that, you think that maybe that could be the first thing to happen. Maybe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you gig one of these? Cheers for stopping by.